A very good evening to all of our esteemed panelists and all the participants. I welcome all of you to the second day of Kaushal Charcha on the occasion of World Youth Skill Day 2021. I am Abhishek Gupta. I will be moderating these sessions. And the World Youth Skill Day is started in 2014 when the United Nations General Assembly declared 15th July as World Youth Skill Day to celebrate the strategic importance of equipping young people with skills for employment, decent work, and entrepreneurship. Since then, World Youth Skill Day events have provided a unique opportunity for dialogue between young people, technical and vocational education training institute, firms, employed and workers organizations, policymaker, and development partners. The theme of this year of World Youth Skill Day is reimagining youth skills post-pandemic. So after 2014, Indian government also launched the very same day, 15 July 2015, the Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship and Skill India Missions. So this year we are celebrating 6th anniversary of Skill India Missions. And the Kaushal Charcha is a week-long series of dialogue on important aspect of skilling ecosystem of India. On the occasion of World Youth Skill Day 2020-21 is being organized by CII, MP Panel on Skill Development in association with ISEC and NSN. In Kaushal Charcha, we are discussing 8 different themes on 8 days on very important topics related to skills and youth. Yesterday on the first day, we discussed post-pandemic challenges and opportunities in skill development. And today we will be discussing on mainstreaming vocational education and making National Education Policy 2020 a reality. So before moving forward, I would like to formally welcome all of our guests and introduce our panelists. Although all of our guests are very well-known personality of education sector, and I feel honored to be a moderator of this such august panel. But for the sake of participant, I would like to introduce them briefly. So today we have with us Professor V.S. Mehrotra. Professor Mehrotra having more than 3 decades of experience in education domain. He is currently working as professor and coordinator of Univoc Network Center at PSS, Central Institute of Vocational Education, Bhopal. Before joining PSS CIVE in 1995, he also worked on principal investigator in Young Scientist Project awarded by DST, Ministry of Science and Technology, Government of India. He was also involved in the development of National Vocational Educational Qualification Framework, NVEQF, and later it termed as NSQF for India. Policy guideline for VET, competency-based curriculum and courseware, e-learning material, and video film in VET. Dr. Mehrotra also developed Life Kit for UNESCO India. Dr. V.S. Mehrotra is also recipient of Kirsi Ratna Award, Dr. M.S. Swaminathan JRF in Fellowship in Plant Pathology, Award by WAFM, and K.S. Krishnan Research Fellowship of the Department of Atomic Energy, Government of India. So I welcome you, sir, for this today's panel. Next, we have Dr. Leena Chandran Wadia, a Senior Fellow ORF and member of NEP Draft Committee. Dr. Leena Wadia received her PhD in Physics from the Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore, and did her postdoctoral work in high performance computing at ETH Zurich. She has been a researcher at several places in India and abroad, including IIT Bombay and CERN in Switzerland. She has also served in the corporate sector as Senior VP and CTO at Netcore Solutions Private Limited, working in the area of value-added services on mobile phones. Since moving to ORF Mumbai in 2010, Dr. Leena has been engaged in research and policy advocacy, primarily in education, but also in other areas such as renewable energy, public health, and sustainable agriculture. She has contributed to the preparation of India's draft National Education Policy 2019 as a member of the Technical Secretariat to the Dr. Kasturi Rangan Committee and as a member of the drafting committee of the policy. So I welcome you, ma'am, for today's panel. Next, we have Engineer Partha Das, Officer on Special Duty, in charge NSQF Cell DVT, Directorate of Vocational Education and Training, Government of West Bengal. So Mr. Das has been working for more than 20 years in the education sector and has played a crucial role at Directorate of Vocational Education and Training in implementation of centrally sponsored scheme for vocationalization of secondary school education in the state of West Bengal from the inception. So welcome you, sir. I also welcome you for the today's session. And last but not least, we have Mr. Arvind Chaturvedi, sir, Vice President ISEC. Mr. Chaturvedi has been associated with ISEC since inception. Mr. Chaturvedi is an IIT Roorkee alumnus and currently is heading the Pan India coordination of ISEC and school programs. He has massive experience of over 25 plus years in project management and strategy. His expertise also includes center rollout and heading critical project of organization that involve apex institutions such as central and state government as our primary stakeholders. So we welcome you, sir. We welcome all of you in today's panel on behalf of ISEC and CII and NSM. And since chat is disabled, I request all our participants to raise their query through Q&A tab. The new education policy launched last year, and it is highly appreciated by all stakeholders of the education sector. As the introduction of NEP state, education is the fundamental for achieving full human potential, developing an equitable and justice society, and promoting national development. There are various great features in NEP, such as focus on ECCE, elementary education, then structural change, then universal access, school complex, and then other common standard focus on 21st century's skills, and etc. There are many more features. It would take another 2 days to discuss all whole NEP. But I would like to request Dr. Leena ma'am and Mehrotra sir to share their opening remark on vocational education with respect to NEP, and how do you see impact of national education policy in terms of vocationalization of school education and the way ahead. Leena ma'am, over to you, ma'am.
So thank you, Abhishek. I will start immediately by just saying that on 29th July, it will be 1 year since the NEP 2020 has been released. So it's been in the public domain for a long time. I hope many people have seen the document. The NEP 2020 is not as long as the NEP 2019. But what I will focus on just now in 5 minutes is to talk about what is the thinking behind the recommendations of NEP 2020 with regard to vocational education. So I have 5 minutes. Okay. What we really wanted to do was to bring in educational institutions as providers of vocational education to supplement, and this is important, to supplement the capacity of NSDC and its ecosystem of training partners, which has been built up over the last decade or more. NSDC was set up in 2008. So there has been over a decade of experience of creating an ecosystem of training partners and doing many aspects of skilling for people who want lifelong learning, for dropouts and all of those kinds. But we felt that the educational institutions can provide long-term training. Students are in school for 12 years or 15 years, if you take all the undergraduate, early childhood education. So that is the best time. Middle school and secondary school is the best time to begin, introducing skills and knowledge. So, in the 21st century, every student needs both skills and knowledge. So school is the best place to introduce a combined training in both, knowledge and applying knowledge and developing skills, not only your own interpersonal skills, but also skills in particular professions, whether it is IT or health or any other sector of the economy. So the main aim was that, and then of course, we all know, and we have to confront this reality that vocational education was thought of as a second-class citizen, as an alternative for people who didn't have any other option. But today, with the advent of so many IT-related professions, that stigma associated with blue-collar work or second-class work is passing away, because you have so many white-collared jobs in the IT sector, which students are very, very proud to do. So that distinction is going away. But educational institutions can help it even further. What it can do is integrate the vocational education into just other more subjects that students have choice. So the NEP has said that in the secondary school stage, it will be a semester system. There will be some core subjects that every student has to take, but there will be a lot of electives. And for electives, students can choose courses that may be applied data sciences or something. Which parent is going to say my child shouldn't take that course? So therefore, if you introduce the right kind of courses, and this is a strategic decision, we have to begin with the right kind of courses, and eventually add non-IT courses also into the curriculum, then this integration will help overcome the stigma of the associated with vocational education. And then we have to remember that out of every 100 students, 70 will want jobs after 12th grade. So NEP has said we must strive to keep every student in school till 12th standard, work with them to prevent them from dropping out, make curriculum interesting, make electives interesting so that students stay in school. And then, after 12th standard, they should be trained well enough in different subjects at right NSQF levels like 4 and 5, so that they can use that to start jobs and then go back to learning bachelor's degree and anything else at the right time when they are ready for it. So that's the main aim of the NEP. But we have introduced another stream which is new, because vocational education for 11th and 12th standards is already happening even now under the Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan. It's just that we didn't reach enough students. But NEP has said that we should introduce vocations to children already in middle school. This used to happen many years ago in the 70s when I was in school. I have been to glass blowing factories. I have been to paper making factories where we saw how old clothes were recycled, how they were treated with chemicals and used as input material to make paper and so on. So that kind of exposure, which is you take students to any nearby industry or any economic activity happening around the school and introduce them to those economic activities and connect those economic activities to what they are learning in their curriculum. So if you go to a public health center and you look at facilities for taking blood or for x-rays or any other machines, then you connect that to the science education. If you go to a railway station and you look at the railways, then you connect that education to lots of things, to engineering and technology, but also to the social aspects of the railways and also to the history of railways. So if you integrate in that spirit, that whatever you learn about an economic activity, you connect it to all the subjects in school, then that is what we really mean by mainstreaming vocational education. So I'll stop here. We can discuss other things as we go ahead. Thank you.
Sure,
thank you for your time.
Thank you for your valuable inputs and as opening remarks. So I now request Mehrotra sir to continue as ma'am saying for vocational education as per NEP. Since sir, you are doing many more things in PSS CIPE, so sir, please share the experience of NEP. You also as a contributed in NEP in draft committee also as your inputs. So sir, please over to you, sir.
Thank you, Abhishek. At the outset, I would like to congratulate ISEC for taking this initiative of celebrating this Kaushal Charcha for a week-long program with so many activities. And I think it's going to add a lot of value to what we intend to do in terms of not only just vocational education, but general education too. Because now, as ma'am has said, that we have to integrate general education with vocational education, and that has been the main focus earlier also under Samagra Shiksha. So when we say Samagra Shiksha, it means holistic education. And holistic education can only be given if we don't differentiate between different types of education. You know, you would be surprised when I joined this institute I did my schooling from St. Joseph's College, Allahabad, which is now known as Prayagraj. And I was shocked to see that there's something like vocational education existing in our domain of education. Why I said I was shocked because I never heard this term when I was studying in a convent school. As ma'am said, that we used to do all these activities like work experience, socially useful productive work, all kinds of sports activity, physical activities, NCC, everything was there with it. But we never differentiated that this boy is from or girl is from vocational education and I am from general education. So the very first thing which came in my mind, and I asked my seniors that, sir, how can we do this? I mean, when we talk of common education system, common schooling system, and all those things, the constitutional rights of every child to get the best education in the country, why do we need to differentiate at all between what is vocational education, what is general education, what is vocational training? ITIs used to have this vocational training, not vocational education and training, because the education component was practically missing there. But over the years, they have now developed this employability skills and social studies they have incorporated, entrepreneurship development they have incorporated over these years. But earlier it was not there. Now that shows that there was lack of clarity amongst the educators also, that where they want to take this country in terms of education. The second thing which was more dangerous was that these courses were terminal in nature. That means we had something like vocational education which was offered in uh, class 11th and 12th, and it didn't allow any mobility in terms of vertical mobility for higher education, or even to a great extent the horizontal mobility. Now a student who gets into vocational education was expected to acquire those skills which helps him or her to get employment, and there was lack of employability skills at that time. So how do you expect a student who's of the age of say 16, 17 or 18 years to get an employment when the graduates are also not getting employment? Now that was the biggest mistake I would say was done at that time in terms of making these courses terminal in nature. And I am happy to see that, and I would congratulate Dr. Uh, Lena for this, that they have come out with this kind of focus on integration of general education and vocational education. In fact, it should subsume in general education. Every child should have the right to acquire skills. Just like we say RTE Act, we should come out with an act which says that every child should be skilled when they come out from the school or a higher education. Nobody should be left behind. Uh, then only we can ensure that every child is capable of getting an employment. Now, employment scenario is something different. I mean, when we talk of wage employment, self-employment, then it is a situation is very different. We need to focus more on entrepreneurship, setting up enterprises, startups, and things like that. So I'm not going to get into that. But then the foundation has to be very strong in terms of education and training. Now, when we say training, it has certain specific objectives. We need to focus on that. But what we have been doing, we have been focusing on education rather than just training, or both of them. And that has been the major issue. Now, with this kind of restructuring, which has been envisaged in the NEP 2020, I think a lot is expected, and it would have a major impact on that. Like now we have preparatory stage, foundation stage, middle stage, secondary stage. And secondary stage will have 4 years, like 9, 10th, 11th, 12th. So we are uh, seeing it in a totality, not in isolation. So there has to be a continuum of the curriculum. Whatever we teach right in the beginning should go till the end, and so that we can ensure a quality output in terms of the students who are coming out from the school education system. Now, I'm just focusing on the school education system because there's a lot to be said about in the there's a national higher education qualification framework. So the focus has to be on not just the teaching, but training. That should be, so it should start from like pre-primary or say early childhood education up to the secondary education. So this is how we have to see. The skilling has to be inbuilt. So how we do it, playway methods, fun courses, which has been recommended, internship programs, hands-on training, so that students enjoy those, those learning experiences. And through that, what has been talked about in the working paper or the position paper, which was brought by NCERT on work and education, they talked about work-centered education. And this has been incorporated in the NCF 2005, where we have said that we have to shift from rote learning to experiential learning. So in order to do that, we have to make this work-centered. So work-centered education means we have a work there, and through that we teach maths, science, physics, chemistry, biology, languages. Suppose you are doing an activity on vermicompost. You tell students about earthworms. So there is a biology involved in that. You tell them about the soil microorganisms which interact with these. So ecology is there. So those things, maths is also there. So calculation, how much vermicompost you would be requiring for, manuring this much of land and things like this. So a whole lot of things, language, the terms used for vermicompost like earthworms and all those things. So they would be learning so many things, which they can utilize in the world of work. So when they get into the world of work, they will know all these terms. Like we train air hostesses, what they do, they just learn what is required in terms of the communication skills that they would be using. They are not learning whole maths, science, physics, chemistry, maths, everything they are not learning. So they have a separate academy for that, and they are trained for that particular job, and they do their job very well. So this is how we have to restructure the whole education system in order to not just teach them a lot, increasing their curriculum load every time if some new concept comes, we just put it in the school curriculum and say, "Bacche ko padhna padega." That should not be the approach. We need to have a continuum of anything that we, and in fact, if we look at the teacher education, we need some reforms there also. We have been labeling them as TGT, PGTs, primary teachers, like that. Instead of just think, I mean, it's maybe a out of the box thinking. Basic maths teacher, intermediate maths teacher, advanced maths teacher, like that. If we label them like that, and similarly for carpentry, basic carpenter, intermediate carpenter, advanced carpenter, like that, and give them promotions just like we have lecturer or assistant professor, associate professor, and professor. So there would be a ladder for them. So a basic math teacher would be teaching in, say, for this primary stage, or say when we say preparatory or foundation stage, the intermediate teacher would be teaching at the middle stage, and the advanced teacher would be teaching at the secondary stage. Now, they will have some ladder behind. So the kind of teacher cadre that we need to have in our system, that is totally missing. Vocational teachers, for example, they don't know whether they are PGTs or TGTs or what they are labeled as. So we need to put all these things in place, which is totally missing. And I'm happy to say that this NEP has actually highlighted all these issues. Teacher salary, teacher recruitment, appointments, training, and all the professional training. That is another very important. We have not been able to focus on the competency-based training of the teachers. So there has to be a major shift or paradigm shift in terms of the BEd programs that we are running. It has to be made competency based. So every teacher coming out should have those kind of skills rather than having just subject knowledge. So we should not just produce math teacher, language teacher, but teachers with all those competencies which would require to become a good teacher for that particular stage of the education. So that is another dimension of it. Now, with regard to the social stigma attached to vocational education, how can we do? We need to glamorize all these sectors like we have done for beauty and wellness. It was totally an unorganized sector. It has become slowly. Now we have best of the salons, unisex salons. People are coming out with concepts. Entrepreneurs have developed unique concepts for beauty and wellness. Yoga, for example. See, just we have not been able to, put yoga in the national front. Now it is in the international front, and we are celebrating Yoga Day. It is what? It is all glamorization. So we need to glamorize all these occupations which exist. The second aspect, which is most important, is raising the income levels of skilled workers. We should give them due respect. We should give them handsome amount of remuneration. I'm not saying salary, because the moment you say salary means a person takes it for granted that I will be now in a comfort zone. Remuneration for the hard work that they do. There has to be a streamlining of this kind of system where they get uh, a good income when they work hard. I had written one story which was taken from Hindustan Times, where in UK, a plumber came to a microbiologist, a PhD microbiologist, and he charged so much in terms of pounds that he was astonished. The microbiologist, who was a scientist, he got so astonished, he left his job and he got the training of plumbing and became a plumber. This was published in Hindustan Times. So just imagine the kind of difference that we have created in our system in terms of white collar jobs and blue collar jobs. This gap needs to be reduced. Just like when we say skill gaps, we need to also reduce the income gaps. Otherwise, we'll be talking about social stigma and things like that, and nothing will happen. So the remuneration has to be in terms of hourly basis or weekly basis, but we have to really fix those wages for these people who are, and then grade them, as I said, basic carpenter, intermediate carpenter, for incentivization of whatever they do. So increments or add-ons or perks should be linked to these kinds of designation. Then only we'll see a change in our in terms of the policy directions which is actually being envisaged in the policy. With regard to the semester system, as Dr. Leena has already talked about, it's a very difficult task, because I myself, when I graduated from G.V. Pant University of Agriculture and Technology, there was a trimester system when I entered. But from next year, I could see there was a change in the semester system, because trimester system was very tough for the teachers, quizzes, hourlies, and things like that. So exams. So teachers get overburdened with those kinds of things. So it was decided, okay, we'll have a semester system. And even most of the higher education system or colleges or universities, they don't have this kind of trimester or semester system. So how can we think in the school? Now that is the biggest. I'm not saying it is not possible. What I'm saying is it will be a real challenge for the country to implement semester system in schools, where we are lacking so many teachers. We don't have teachers at all in most of the schools who can. So how can you think of that kind of system which requires, all the time examinations, hourly quizzes and all? So that is another challenge before us, but nevertheless, we need to really work out how we will do it, because until unless we do it, we should create some models, and then see what are the problems that we are facing, and accordingly, suggest how to upscale this particular model of semester system. Electives, as Leena Madam has rightly said, that we need to have a lot of electives so that interdisciplinary or multidisciplinary approaches, and this would be a very good initiative to start with and take it to the semester system. So let's first decide what are those core skills, particularly the 21st century skills, industry 4.0 skills that needs to be incorporated in our school system. Besides what we have been teaching in terms of math, science, or science and technology, or arts and all those things. But what are those core skills that we need to develop in every child that we need to identify and make them compulsory subjects or compulsory modules, which every child needs to offer at every stage. So that should be the approach. And the subjects would be the satellites for that. So if I'm more interested in maths, so I'll take it as a minor, not the major. But major would be the core skills. The core skills that, like for example, communication skills, interpersonal skills, critical thinking, creativity, all these things should be incorporated. Now, with regard to the dropouts, as we all know that in spite of all our efforts, in spite of RT, in spite of, developing such a good infrastructure, we are not able to attract or rather retain those students who are there in the schools. Now, the basic problem is that we need to also realize the financial status of the parents, what is happening there. So we have to ensure that the income levels of those children, or make it free in that sense, the whole school education system has to be made free. Not just up to 8th or up to 9th or so, up to 12th, every child. And we have to ensure that parents should be sending their. So what we have to do is we have to orient the parents, bring about that kind of awareness amongst the parents. And this is what Haryana did when they initiated this introduction of this revised scheme of vocational education. So they invited parents to the school, explained them, now we have a revised scheme of vocational education, and this is what we are going to do. And parents were so convinced that everyone wanted that my child should get into vocational education. So this connect of the schools with the parents is very important, and we have not been able to. We have been doing parents teachers meetings. That is not sufficient. So whenever we introduce something new, we need to bring about that kind of awareness amongst our stakeholders, particularly the parents, about this.
Pardon me, sir.
Right. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Sorry to intervene. Since we have paucity of time, so I have to intercept you.
Yes. Thank you.
Because we also have 2 more speakers, so I will come to you, sir, later once again. So,
right.
Sir, thank you for your kind words and the differentiation you mentioned about education and the training and how we have to integrate integrate these two in a same system. So now I would like to invite Partho Das sir to share the implementation of vocational education schemes in the state of West Bengal, and how much we have achieved the target of GER in terms of NEP guideline, or we have to achieve 50% of the enrollment in vocational education. So Partho sir, over to you, sir.
Am I audible?
Sir.
Yes.
It is a very good topic, but selected particularly on the eve of World Youth Skill Day. Definitely is a very good topic, but very critical topic. Basically, National Education Policy 2020, from our state perspective, basically I am not in a position to say something about the implementation of National Education Policy 2022. Still, the policy is now being reviewed by education department as well as higher education department. But basically we are representing technical education, training and skill development department, and probably the only state in the country as a technical education, training and skill development department, we are introducing or implementing or entrusted to implement the vocational education across the state. But no doubt this is a very good policy. I have not totally gone through the policy, but major portion of vocational education and its integration with total general education system I have read thoroughly, and no doubt if we may able to implement national education policy within very short time, it will be beneficial for our students or boys child, girls child, or any for our child of the state. Today, actually, as a state perspective, I want to share a small presentation to all of you. What actually we have done or we have thought on this policy. Is it visible? Now, this is the first slide. Is it visible to all of you?
Sir,
Okay.
visible.
Mainstreaming vocationalization of school education in light of national education policy. This is the today's topic. Is it, Abhishek? Okay. What we understood from Directorate of Vocational Education and Training, that there are some specific guidelines in NEP 2020. I have prepared this slide from in left side, the guidelines, and in right side, I have mentioned our initiative or what we are planning now. Vocational education will be integrated with general education at all stages of education. Integration actually gradually are taking places to amalgamate the state-funded vocational training centers. Near about 26554 numbers at present functional. We are converging, trying to converge with mainstream vocationalization of school education under CSS VSE platform, currently running in 676 schools. Here, actually, I am mentioning that we have two separate vocational educations are now being implemented. One is state-funded vocational trainings, vocational education and training, about 200 crores budget project, which actually state are implementing in 2,654 numbers vocational training centers. All these vocational training centers are actually situated in different school premises. Few are situated at few madrasa. About 500 madrasas are now functional in West Bengal. Out of that, 200 madrasas are already implementing vocational education. Few NGOs are implementing, and few MSK, that is Madrasa Shiksha Kendra, up to 8+ level. There are two interventions. Number one, 8+ short-term intervention, about 6 months course duration. Here we are implementing about 43 vocational trades, and separate vocational educations are also being implemented in 1,263 vocational schools or training centers at 11 and 12, 2 years vocational education in 4 disciplines: engineering and technology, business commerce, agriculture, and home science. With this state-funded vocational education, we are also implementing mainstream vocational education, which is now the major focused area across the country. In West Bengal, we are also implementing such vocational education in alliance or in association with School Education Department. Already we have implemented 676 schools and 50 approved schools from MHRD are now in pipeline. Our major objective that entire CSS VSE model is being replicated gradually in all our state-funded vocational training centers, basically to cater the maximum coverage so that at least we may reach by 2025, 50% students may be covered up with this program, vocational skill ecosystem. Number two, that no rigid separation between curricular and extracurricular activities and between vocational and academic streams. It is another important guideline of NEP 2020. Actually, what we have thought that separation have been gradually to be minimized between academic and vocational streams, and slow but steadily through continuous awareness approaches with guardians and students also are reflecting in the increase in beneficiaries per year, not only in mainstream vocational education, in our state-funded vocational educations. We are also observing the gradual increase in enrollment of the students with the continuous effort of our department as well as our directorate, and students are now being motivated through different awareness program, and also schools are arranging different awareness program with the guardians and as well as counseling program of the with the students. That every child to learn at least one vocational subject and exposed to several more. Particularly on this issue, we are planning that we want to emphasize on providing at least one vocational subject to students from a variety of courses available are being prioritized. We have developed a significant plan that is in our short-term vocational training centers. Out of 2,654 vocational training centers, we have chosen
Hello, Partha sir, you are not audible.
I think he has lost his connection.
Yes.
Maybe he can come back later.
Yes. So in meantime, I would request now Mr. Arvind Chaturvedi ji to share experience of ISECT in implementation of vocational education CSS for VHSE schemes in sir, Partha sir.
Am I audible?
Yes sir. Sir, connection आपको lose हो रहा है. If you can continue without slide or can share just in summarize.
We have not only 2-3 slides.
Yes.
Is it visible to all of you?
No sir, it is not visible.
Not visible?
No, no.
Hello? Is it visible?
No sir. Sir, if you can read from there, it would be better if you can.
Okay. What I just told, that every child to learn at least one vocational subject and exposed to several more. Particularly on this guideline, we are trying to emphasize on providing at least one vocational subject to be introduced in our short-term vocational training centers, where from next academic session, we may start from class 9 onward in the similar line of CSS VSE program. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, audible.
Audible. And gradually, it may be replicated all such vocational training centers, both short-term and 10+2 vocational education system in the similar manner of CSS VSE program, so that we can cater about 3,500 vocational schools under this policy or under this program. Next, students will learn vocational crafts such as carpentry, electric work, metal work, gardening, pottery making, etc. as decided by states and local communities during grade 6 to 8. It is one of the major important guideline of NEP 2020. On the basis of this guideline, what we are planning, that socially useful productive work, which already Professor Mehrotra mentioned, that we are now, a concept note is being prepared by our directorate on the inclusion of SUPW in the upper primary levels from class 6 onward, to make the students aspirational in taking vocational subjects in future, and also to remove social stigma and improve social empowerment through this learning system.
Okay, so I think the connection is again lost. So I will listen. So we will listen Partha sir later. So now I request Arvind Chaturvedi sir to share the experience of ISEC of implementation of vocational education across India.
Okay, thank you, Abhishek. Before that, I just want to add on something on Dr. Leena's version and Professor Malhotra sir. I was lucky, I can say. I studied in the government schools, and that too into 70s, when there was no mobile, no internet connections, no laptops were there. And in our schooling, after the sixth standard itself, we were more engaged into the gardening, carpentry. I still remember when I was in seventh standard, we were making our own benches and tables. Where at that time there was no separate chair and table concept. There was a benches and tables. So we were making those also. And if there was a minor rectification required, we were doing the plumbing also and gardening also. So I have learned from there, but at that time there was no certification. So it was like a hobby. So by that, the slowly we have gone it. When I was in engineering, first year was a compulsory for the lathe machine. There was a compulsory for the carpentry and all those things. Now it is becoming a certification. So I just join it back again now to you for with the question which Abhishek has asked. We are into the vocational schools program since 2014, and I have seen a up and downs. You can say why there's a down. Where now it should be the up, up, up. While this scheme was introduced, 2014 till 2018, we were very much excited while if any meeting was called by any Samakshra Shiksha, because they were talking only what are the new concepts we are going to launch, what are the schemes we are going to launch, how we are going to improve this like a program. Unfortunately, nowadays, earlier you can say ki into the Sabak Shiksha, there was a lot of background people who was into the education. They were more involved for making the program, running it. Parthoda will be is one of them who is having a very good technical background. He understand. He is the more into the implementation, how to improve it. After that, into the most of Samakshra Shiksha, these background people are like diminishing. People are taking who are more becoming the more commercialized. Nowadays, whenever the meeting is called, they never discuss about how you are going to improve this scheme. They comes out the balance sheet, profit and loss account. So now this vocational education, while in central government and like a state government are giving more emphasis onto improving the vocational education. Unfortunate part is most of the Samagra Shiksha are not understanding it. They are initially becoming more into the profit loss. If you ask for anyone with whom we can discuss about the implementation, hardly you will find into the one or two Samak Shiksha nowadays who understand what is a vocational. And that's why I have seen up and downs. So this is the down. For improving of it, my suggestion is, like Parthoda is a background to people of the education. In all the Samaksha Shiksha, whatever the central government has decided, let's stick for those terms and conditions. While in meeting, we should give the more emphasis how to improve this, how to improve this. Like in from the ISEC side, we have started doing the BWalk also. If the student who wanted to do the BWalk after 12th, because due to the several factors, he cannot go for the further studies, we can ask them to join the apprentice, and from there he can do the 3 years course of the BWalk. So all our universities are introduced the BWalk also. So we should go giving the more emphasis onto the subject where the students are interested, how to move, because nowadays we're having a lot of facilities, like with the internet, with the online teaching. We can teach the students also. If they're not doing the practical, we can show them at least. Because in our times, we used to go to the factories. I have gone to the potteries also. I have gone to the small lathe machines also when we were the student. Nowadays, you can see, visualize these things onto the network also. So my request with the Malhotra sir also, because you are very much involved with the all over the India Samaksha Shiksha, and Dr. Leena also, he just give the emphasis for the Samaksha Shiksha. They can make the panel for discussion of the more constructive thing in place of the commercial. Like if happens, if you join any Samaksha Shiksha meeting, nowadays they are not asking. While in the 2014 to 2018, we used to call into the meetings also, like a school colleges, to talk with the parents, teach them. I appreciate the West Bengal. When it was started, I believe in 2015, we requested them, sir, before implementing this project, you have to convince the headmasters of the school, because that all the scheme, like a success and failure depends on the headmaster of the schools. They called all the headmasters also, and they trained what is the importance of the vocational, how to do it, how to implement it, what are the plus points of it. So their mindset has been changed. But still into the most of the states, they are using the vocational trainer as the regular teacher. Like for the computer trainer, in place of the training the students, they are using as for doing their MIS job. For the others, they are using as a class teacher for the fourth standard or fifth standard. So this, if we want to like make a success of this NEP 2020 for the vocational, we have to come together with all the departments, and we have to make it the success. I'm just stopping here itself. Abhishek, we can join the next time again.
Thank you, sir, for your kind words. So, as Arvind sir said, so I am just forming another question on the similar lines. Since in short-term training we have a separate scheme like any other scheme of MSD, so there is a guideline of common norms notification which uniformize all the value chain of skill ecosystem. So from the mobilization to training to the course curriculum to the payout and etc. etc. But when we come to the CSS for VHSC or vocationalization scheme, each state is following their own term of conditions, and so even the trade are not uniform in all states, and the salary of VTs, and then other part also are not the same. And even some of the state, there the books, textbook are not reachable in the local languages. So there should be some kind of uniformization across the states. So I would like to comment from Malhotra sir and Leena ma'am on to how can we universalize the vocational education across India.
Maybe I can go first. So I would say that we should, other than subjects like IT, and so on, which has universal application, we should not look for universalization, because there are many vocations that can be thought of that are local in nature. For example, the UP government has a very important scheme called One District, One Product. Yeah. And that is in this area of crafts, arts and crafts and our heritage. and India's heritage, they want the products to be more products to be made and marketed abroad and so on. Now, obviously, if one district has one product, then the schools in that district can think about the industry associated with that product, right? I'm just giving one example. But if the next district has another product, then one should look at that. So to say that everybody should be taught the same thing is not such a great idea. But on the other hand, if you want to teach IT courses, you want to teach programming, or you want to teach, computer graphics and visualization, today the movie industry and is so big, or even games or data sciences. Also, that can be taught throughout the country. But we have to also bring in non-IT professions, vocations that are local in nature, because there is a local economy around it. So we should keep this in mind. With regard to center and states, I will remind everyone that historically, unfortunately, the state governments have neglected vocational education. I mean, there are so many state boards in the country, and anytime the states could have given much more prominence to vocational education, but they didn't do it. In the 1986 policy and its implementation program, the program of action 1992 created state institutions of vocational education, but they all just died. Most of them died or became defunct or inactive. And the main reason for that is the first thing that Professor Mehrotra said, which is that there was no vertical mobility. So if a student finished 12th standard, they were not eligible for admission for BA, BSc, BCom at all, anywhere. So that vertical mobility of students was not looked into, and that was one of the main reasons why vocational education just became so unattractive to students. Because as we know, a bachelor's degree is aspirational in India, right? So I think state governments have also failed in their duty. Now, Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan is running, and Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan has many things that require reform. But when Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan started running, many states shut down their state funded vocational education. Unlike West Bengal, I think West Bengal is a very good example where the states are doing even more than the number of centrally sponsored scheme schools actually. But Karnataka, for example, does not have any other vocational activity other than the Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan. That's not okay, because the states need to train people for their own economies. Different states have different economies. Like mining is a big thing in Karnataka, but it may not be a big thing in say Andhra or some other state. You see, so. These are important considerations to keep in mind. I'll hand over to Professor Malhotra. Thank you.
Yeah, I think whatever Dr. Leena said, I totally agree with her, because these are the things that we need to keep in mind, that we need to give more opportunity for diversification, because India is a diverse country, and we need to focus more on standardization, improving the quality of vocational education through standardization. And that is what the purpose of National Skill Qualifications Framework is, that quality assurance should be given through various guidelines. Now, what Abhishek ji, what you are talking is, I think that norms, the common norms which have been circulated by the MSDE for other schemes. Why that was required is because they are not running in a school system or a college or university system, which has already established norms and guidelines and things like that. Like we have Samagra Shiksha guidelines. Now states are required to follow those guidelines, but they can diverge from there in terms of what Dr. Leena was talking about, the diversity in terms of courses, in terms of traditions or crafts or handicrafts, art to be promoted. We cannot have that kind of common standards that every state would be, implementing this handicraft course. It should not be there. However, we always give guidelines. Like what has happened is when we had issued guidelines for teacher qualification. Now, Himachal Pradesh and some other, even MP, Madhya Pradesh also were not getting teachers of that qualification. So what we suggested, you constitute a committee, you can keep a member from the PSSCIV and decide on the qualification. So these are the kind of flexibilities that you need to provide to the states so that they can run the program rather than it should not become a hindrance. Because if you have prescriptions, then it becomes very dangerous in terms of, particularly in education. You cannot have that kind of prescriptive or judgmental kind of education system. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Partha, sir, if you can continue your slides. Some participants are asking your slides since it is a more practical in nature what state government is doing in terms of NEP implementation. So there are some queries to share the PPT. So I will send them on mails. If you can continue.
Actually, really, I am facing problem internet connectivity.
No issue, sir. You can just.
Now, is it visible now?
No, sir. It is not visible. You can just.
Okay. Okay, not visible. Okay, I just probably I have mentioned that vocational education systems in schools will be reintegrated under National Qualification Framework. Up to this, is it? On the basis of this guideline, we have already started that all existing courses under our purview of our council, dedicated vocational council, almost 43 trades in 8+ level, that is short-term program, and near about 22 courses, vocational papers under 10+2 vocational program are now being aligned with National Skill Qualification Framework. And hopefully this will be, am I audible?
Yes.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You're audible.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
okay.
sir. You're audible.
Okay. Then hopefully within very short time, it will be completed and completely be aligned with NSQF, National Skill Qualification Framework. Parallelly, that another guideline of NEP, that is Bachelor in Vocational Program offered by higher education institution, to be expanded. Actually, we are trying our best to make a strong liaison with our higher education department. About 37 academic institute or colleges have been accorded affiliation under BVOC program, and out of that, near about 12 colleges have started the program in full swing with different vocational courses or job roles. And it is very encouraging for our students, pass out students from our vocational training centers or schools. They are now getting enrolled under BVOC program. From last academic session, the number is now being increased. And lastly, I want to mention, this is the most important point, that at least 50% of learners shall have vocational exposure through school and higher education program. What we are now planning that we have to be integrated with school education department and as well as MAME department in mainstreaming vocational education. And we have already started our dialogues with all departments, that so that entire CSS VSE model may be replicated in such or these concerned institutes for catering or for getting the maximum coverage, so that by the 2025 we may reach our at least 50% target. And as well as we have also taken the initiative or plan that academic vertical mobility, what actually repeatedly we are discussing, and also the vocational pass out students may get enrolled in ITI, in polytechnics, lateral entry in second year polytechnic admissions through a common program, that is VOCLET, vocational lateral entry system, and the students are now getting enrolled in polytechnics, ITIs this way, and as well as from polytechnic onward, students may be able to enroll in the second year engineering colleges also, degree colleges. And few polytechnics under our department are also offering DVOC program, that is Diploma in Vocational Education program, and which are entirely monitored by our council, technical wing. We have a dedicated council that the council has two wings. One is technical wing. They are actually mainly monitoring the polytechnic education system, and another is they are monitoring actually vocational education system. And DVOC program has been already started from the year 2019, and we are trying to increase the number of colleges. Different private engineering colleges already started this program, and we hope that by 2025, if we may continue in this way, we may at least cover up the national education policy in this fashion, provided we got the final instruction from our education department, the implementation procedure, and accordingly we will move on the basis of notification or instruction to be given by our education department. This is our small presentation, and at last I want to mention that this type of forum, sharing our talks with different, particularly Dr. Lina, Professor Mehrotra said, basically I am very much fond of Professor Mehrotra. Whenever I gone to PSSCIB, basically I want to be a good student of Professor Mehrotra. That's why I am enjoying his lecture and enjoying his interaction procedure. And being actually by profession, I was also a teacher, and I have served polytechnic colleges about 12 years before my entrance in this post. From my engineering background, basically I am a hardcore civil engineer, started my career from civil engineering site and construction works. Then I moved to a design consultancy job. And finally, after my MTech, I have done a defense R&D program with armament, ARD actually, Pune.
We all love to Mehrotra sir lectures, and I used to go to PSSI whenever I got time and any webinar of Mehrotra sir. Due to paucity of time, I just we are overshooting our time. So sir, we have some few questions from the audience. Thank you, Partha sir, for sharing your preparation of your department for execution of NEP. So I will taking two questions. One for Lina Wade ma'am, who will teach vocational courses in schools? Are the vocational teacher going to be appointed, or regular teachers will be expected to handle it?
So the answer to this question is that it will depend. Because if there are professions, if there are subjects that need to be taught over the long term, year after year, for example, IT courses, this is my easiest example for us to understand. There is, IT is involved in everything, IT enablement. So today when you go to book airline tickets, you use IT, and if farmers are using IT to decide when to sell their crops and at what price. So if those kind of courses are being taught, then the Haryana experiment of hiring engineers as teachers, vocational teachers in school, as full-time teachers, that will work. But the NEP also understands that there are many, like for example, arts and crafts. There are many vocations where practicing experts need to come to the school and give some demo, some lectures, and so on. So those will never, they will always be part-time. And as Professor Malhotra said, those kind of part-time people will have to be paid a good remuneration. But what NEP has tried to do is to think about making vocational education a viable career option for teachers. You see, because vocational in the Haryana experiment has shown that vocational teachers, if you hire engineers, they are not afraid of running labs in schools. If you go to secondary schools, the big question is who will run a lab? The science teachers cannot run a lab, the mathematics teachers cannot run a lab. But if you have an engineer as a vocational anchor teacher, then they will be happy to run a lab, you see. So we need to bring about diversity in the qualifications of teachers. This is very important. When there is diversity in the qualification and ability of teachers, then the students benefit. So, and like I said, the goal of integration is that if you are teaching something in one subject, then that same, same economic activity should be discussed also in the science subject class and in the mathematics class, maybe in the social science class, and so on. That is the real integration. And as Professor Mehrotra said, this is a challenge. There is no question about it. But yes, viable careers as vocational teachers are possible, but not for all vocations. That's all I would like to say. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. And the last question for today's panel. So, Mehrotra sir, there are a lot many VTs are asking questions. In their area, there is no industry, so how they can expose the student for the vocational training?
Yeah, so the only solution which I think is you set up your own PTC, production cum training center, which I have seen in many cases, in particularly in Maharashtra. Say, for example, if you are running an automotive vocational course, you can start your own service center where you get those vehicles, motorcycles or cars for servicing, and students will learn through that. The second is virtual labs, as Chaturvedi ji was mentioning, that we need to make it online, or say these virtual labs can be created and students learn through, or the other way around is virtual reality or augmented realities, or simulators. I saw this in Gujarat, the Maruti uh, uh, drivers training center was there, and they were training on simulators first, then taking them, these drivers who were semi trained, I would say, in their campus, where they had set up a whole system of traffic lights and roads and things like that, and then finally taking them into the field. So where there's a will, there's a way. That should be the motto of every teacher. I saw a video recently of Chandigarh teacher who has set up a whole ground of this traffic lights and things like that to teach students to follow those rules of, crosswalk and, understanding traffic lights and things like that. So this is possible. Teachers, and I made a note on that. Somebody wrote that we should have this kind of system in every school. I said, no, what Dr. Leena was mentioning right now. We need to diversify. Every school should not have a traffic system. Every school should have different plans for teaching students. Then this hub and spoke model will come into picture, where there would be exchange of students going from one school to other, learning from the other schools, other experiences. Peer learning will be promoted. They will learn from other students how you follow these traffic rules and things like that. The other students would be going to the school where vermicomposting is being done on a large scale, or nursery is being established where they will learn about how nursery practices are being followed. This is the kind. So every school should run like an academy, maybe a sports academy, or those kinds of things. So they should be exchange, just like we have international student exchange programs. We should have international, or rather national school exchange programs. Also international school exchange. Our students should go abroad and learn from there.
Thank you,
So,
sir.
yeah.
Yes, sir. Since we are overshooting 20 minutes, so before thanking all our panelists, I just like to launch our annual report of every state. We are implementing vocational education in 17 states. and we are working in a vocational education department for last 5-6 years. So we are launching here our annual report for NS2F implementation plan, which we are implementing in across the states. So these are the reports for CSS, VHSSE annual reports 2021. Since Partha sir is here, so we are launching here West Bengal reports. So there is a PDF file I'm launching here, and we will share these reports with the Ministry of Education and then State Department and all the VTs and principal. What are we are doing, and what is the our achievement of last year. I will definitely share with all our speaker, Leena Madam and Malhotra sir, and also the department. So our initiative and all our VTs contribution in the making the vocational education aspirational across the states. So these are the reports we are developing for all 15-16 states. We are implementing the school program. So these are the success stories of industry visit, internship, and their assessment and placement, and our teams.
Right.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
So,
congratulations.
Thank
Congratulations.
You,
It's a wonderful effort.
Yeah.
There is very little documentation of what's happening in every state. So this is a very welcome contribution.
Thank you, ma'am. And we are developing for the similar report for 15 states, and we are submitting well all across the states. So I would like to thank all our panelists, Dr. Leena Vade ma'am, for giving us this time and sharing their inputs about the whole NEP concept, the vision about behind the NEP. Professor Malhotra, always we come to Professor Malhotra for any of our queries or any of our जब भी हमें जरूरत होती है मल्होत्रा सर के पास ही हम आते हैं. Then Parthadas sir for sharing the experience of West Bengal states, and last but not least Arvind Chaturvedi sir for sharing the ISET experience and also critically reminding the shortcoming the schemes and how we can improve the systems. And lastly, all our participants. So ma'am, today's there are more than around 400 participants joined. Still 300 participants are still listening to you, and they are sharing their email ID. So I will share the Partha presentation and all the NS2 reports. So thank you for patient listening. And before goodbye, I'm just sharing for tomorrow's agenda. Since we are having 8 days Kaushal Charcha, so tomorrow we will have a session on 17 July for changing landscape of skilling development and placement in the post-COVID scenario, where we will discuss the informal economy placement as well as the requirement from the industry side and how our student can be benefited from the industry speakers. So please join the same link tomorrow 4 p.m. And thank you all the panelists and all our participants. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you all very much.
Thank you all the listeners also.
Thank
To
you
the audience,
all, and
for
thank you
listening.
ISEC team.
Yes, thank you. To the listeners, thank you all very much for participating.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Namaskar. Bye-bye. Chaturvedi ji, bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye, Abhishek. Bye, Partha Das ji. Thank you.